Okay, as you join in, we're going to give everybody a chance to join in here. And Rob Challenger, you're in Houston, Texas. Brad Blazer's in Houston, Texas. I actually just landed in Dallas, Texas. And it is sure hot in Texas, folks. I thought it was hot in Tennessee, but actually it's about 84 in Tennessee when I left. And I just went out. I like to get to a hotel and get some movement going. So the first thing I do is typically change and go out and just walk and, get my blood pumping a little bit. And I thought, man, I can't even breathe. I can't even breathe out here. It's hard to walk when you can't breathe. So I'm here speaking at a big Supreme Lending major conference at the Gaylord Texan. It's about 600 people. And I was sending all of my buddies the speaker lineup because they put me up at the very top. It was me and Damon West, who wrote How to Be a Coffee Bean. And my buddy said, you're at the top of the list. And I said, I know, that's why I sent you the picture. So you can see that, like when you send stuff back to your friends, like, hey man, I'm doing big things out here. I know you're one of my buddies, but I'm up at the top of the list on this speaker sheet here. So it was funny. It was just a little joke I had with him. He said, you look like you're the top. I said, that's why I sent it to you. So you could see that. Okay, we're gonna let everybody join here, and then we'll get started here in just a few minutes and get us rocking and rolling. And we got a great session for you today around kind of how to step into your big idea and your big concept. And this is a concept I've been playing with. And basically what I do, guys, is I go into I basically go into the woods and spend a lot of time thinking and creating tools for entrepreneurs. And I study what keeps people up at night. If you ever want to be very valuable to another person, just find out what keeps them up at night. And I guarantee if you're running a company, hitting your revenue targets keeps you up at night. Does that be fair to say? Being profitable keeps you up at night. Passive income probably keeps you up at night. Just I've got 11-year-old daughter. Just keeping a tab on her keeps me up at night sometimes. So when you locate what keeps a person up at night and you can make the noise go away, That was actually a book title and a book that was written many years ago called Make the Noise Go Away. When you can make the noise go away for another person, you become incredibly valuable to that person. And so I spend a lot of time thinking, what keeps my entrepreneurs up at night? Okay. What do they think about all the time? And obviously you're in a program that is geared toward helping you get total clarity over your next move. Right? Like that's why it's called What's Next. it's like that's I learned that because, call it what it is. So every session we do each month is a session about getting really clear on the big idea, getting really clear on the execution of that idea, and then taking physical action toward the idea. Okay. Now we have a lot of new members on here. We'd like to welcome. We did a What's Next virtual last week, and we added about 7 to 10 members last week. So if you're new to the group, raise your hand. Look at all these good looking people. Brad Newberry, especially. So all of these people joined the program last week, and I'm excited because this is the fastest growing program that we have at Michael Burt Enterprises. And I believe it solves a real problem for people. Okay. Now there's a couple things you need to know before I get into the teaching. We've added a hot seat Monday call, which is a chance for you to get on and play pitch and catch with me. And Carrie, that's the third Monday of each month. Is that correct? In September, when is it in September? Is it the third Monday in September?
Third Monday, so September 18th, and I'll be sending out an email about that this week.
Okay, so that is an additional session. Don't think of that necessarily as a coaching session as much as a pitch and catch session. So hot seat coaching, I will be listening to some things. Sometimes I go back and forth and I may say, hey, I think about it this way, or based on my experiences, think about it this way. So that third Monday is a hot seat coaching. Then we have the coaching session, which is the first Wednesday of every month. I do sometimes bring in high-powered guests to teach, some people from my network, and you're going to see a lot of people that I bring in from the network. Andy Elliott was going to be here today, and his wife surprised him with a birthday trip to Necker Island, to Richard Branson's Necker Island. And he called and said, I'll stay home, Coach, if you want me to do it. Or if you're okay, I'm going to go to Necker Island, Richard Branson's island. I said, I'll give you a pass on this one because his wife bought it for him and he didn't know it. And he said, I'm so sorry. I know I booked this with you. But if you get a chance to go to Richard Branson's island, I'm going to encourage you to go do it too, right? Especially if your wife pays for it or your significant other pays for it. Now, so typically this is the time that I bring in, I bring in experts as well, and then we cover a subject every single month. The other thing I want you to do to make sure is I want you to opt into our morning messages. So Carrie, if you'll post the number to make sure everybody's opted in to get a morning message from me. I bring that message every morning around 7:30 a.m. If you're not getting that, she'll post a text number for you to opt in and get that message. And then the quarterly dates that you'll be coming into the lodge for the full day of coaching. Okay. Now, obviously you do get access to Monster Nation. That conference starts Friday and Saturday of this week. So I know some of you are coming into Monster. If you're coming into the conference this weekend, raise your hand, please. Okay. So the good number of people coming in. Okay. Super. And we're going to pack that place out. The lodge will be packed. So I'm really excited about that. But if you can't come this weekend, no worries. I think November the 3rd is your next in-person session. So we'll make sure you have all of the dates there. Okay. And then anything you guys need, Carrie Robinson. It does not have an N in it because I called her by the wrong last name for the first 90 days she worked with me. It's ROBI. I call her Carrie Robinson, and it does not have an N in it. Carrie Robinson. So if you need anything from her, she's a delightful. Everybody loves her. She will be your personal concierge to make sure you get everything you need there. Okay. All right, let's get started today. So you should have notes. The notes came to your email. And what we're breaking down today, the resources that would go with today's class or course would be my book From A to B. If you haven't got that, I think that would be a good book for you to read. It's a simple read. How many people have read A to B? Okay. And it's a simple read. Chris Dean, have you read A to B? Okay.
feel like I've been exposed to it so many times. So I feel like I already know the A to B. So I did flip through it though.
Okay. All right. Well, you never know. There's always nuance in there. A lot of times I read a book 4 or 5 times just to get the nuance of it. And I'll pick up one thing in there that's like, man, I missed that the first 3 times I read it. The resources for today's topic would be A to B. Also, the book Flip the Switch. And this will be similar to a presentation I give this Friday at Monster Nation. So you're kind of getting a sneak preview into it. And here's the premise. This month, what we're focused on is finding the level 10 idea. The level 10 idea precedes the level 10 opportunity. Okay. And I want you to think of a level 10 idea as the biggest idea that you have. Okay. It's the biggest idea that you have. The level 10 opportunity comes after the level 10 idea. And it's typically an idea and opportunity that you're not focusing on. Now, Mary Murphy, why would a person not wake up and focus on the greatest opportunity available to them? What would be the reason for that?
They keep getting pulled back into running their real estate team.
That's right. And Coach Burt calls that keeping the trains running. Because you got to keep the trains running, you can't get to the big idea. Because you got to go out and produce revenue and you got to go do it. And so I want you to think of this big idea as it initiating a big opportunity for you. The opportunity is a cross-section of these things. Your specific knowledge, your specific attitude, and where you are today with that attitude, your specific skills, and your specific habits. Okay, that you have accumulated in your lifetime. Okay, now, Brad Blazer, let me give you an example. On Labor Day of this week, I did a 1-hour webinar with Dave Savage. Dave Savage founded The Mortgage Coach. It's a technology company. He sold that to, see, I'm here coaching mortgage originators in Texas tomorrow, 600 Supreme Lending. Supreme Lending is owned by a billionaire. Okay. Now, who do you think's making all the money at Supreme Lending? The billionaire. Even in bad times, he's still making large amounts of profit, even in these times. Okay. It's not the mortgage originator that's getting a little percentage of it. It's the billionaire. Okay. Because they can control the pricing. They know the pricing. See, nobody sees the pricing except for those people. They know exactly what the margins are. So see, when I did that with Dave Savage on Monday, he didn't say, well, I'm just going to sell mortgages. He said, I'm going to create a product, Todd Harris, that every mortgage originator in the country can use. And I'm going to call it the Mortgage Coach. And what it does is, as you're doing a mortgage, it spits up, you type in information about the person who's sitting across the desk from you, or you're working on it, and it spits up all these things and scenarios, and it actually coaches the mortgage originator so that the originator can give information to the buyer, the prospect. It coaches them. Okay. Now, he got that company, I don't know, to 100 million, 200 million, and he sold it. Okay. And for a lot of money, and then he went and bought the most expensive Tesla car you can drive. It's called something, something weird, Prad, something. And when I was out in Newport Beach with him, it goes like 0 to 60 in like a matter of a second. Like, he almost gave me whiplash. He's like, see, look at this, coach. And he's hit it. It's like, boom. And I'm like, you didn't have to do that, man. But here's the point. Instead of selling a mortgage, he created a product that he sold to everybody. And that company became worth about 100 million. And then he sold it. And he had a big transaction, a big financial transaction, because he had a big idea. And the big idea he turned into a big opportunity. And then he leveraged that opportunity to build another opportunity. Okay. And there's a technology component to it. Okay. So I want you to think you have a certain knowledge, a certain attitude, a certain set of skills, and a certain set of habits that you have accumulated in your lifetime. And that predicates you being uniquely qualified for a big opportunity. Now, what if I told you that many people on this call, they may be doing something, but they're not, it's not the big opportunity. It's not the big idea they have. Would you say that's right? Okay. Now you're doing something to generate income, no different than I'm doing coaching that generates income. But at the same time, I'm also building greatness factories, which is one of my big ideas. Does everybody see that? At the same time, we're getting into to building things for schools, like new concepts for schools. At the same time, we're looking for bigger ideas that would have bigger plays. Okay, and that's part of your what's next. So here's the questions that I would have for you. Number one, what is this opportunity? What is your big idea? Okay. And some of you have talked to me about your big idea and some of you haven't. Number two, is it in alignment with your B? Okay. You know, if you come to the conference, you'll see me break this down. So let me go back to Chris Dean. What is one of the reasons I'm building the Greatness Factory, Chris Dean?
What is one of the reasons?
Yeah, what's one of the main reasons?
Okay, now you're putting me in the hot seat. I think because you want to leverage what you're already doing to rent out office spaces and have a coaching area there and really just expand on what you're already doing.
That's right. So at the end of the day, Rob Challenger, one of my B's is to have passive income that is much greater than my living expenses. And one Greatness Factory can kick off upward of 500,000 plus in passive income, just one. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm combining my passions. We call that intentional congruence. I'm combining my love of real estate. Okay. So Brad Blazer, I bought that for 3.6 million. It appraised at 7.2 million. Okay. So I feel like I'm buying an asset in downtown Nashville that will only appreciate in value. It can kick off 500,000 of passive income to me. And Mary Murphy, how much money can be made when people get there and get excited as it relates to the coaching? Okay. And the auditorium alone can kick off $600,000 or $700,000 a year, just the auditorium. That's only one revenue source. So I want you to think about this. This is a big idea, but it moves me toward my B, because my B is passive income that is greater than my living expenses. Okay. Now, Andy Asbury, where does most of the money come from to build the Greatness Factory, though? Any guesses?
Your coaching business?
Right. So if the coaching business doesn't hit its revenue targets and doesn't have enough and doesn't have enough profit, there's not enough money left over to go put into this, what I would call my passion purpose project. That is actually in alignment with the B. Lisa Galloway, you follow me here? If the coaching business doesn't have any excess cash left over at the end of the month, there's no storehouse, Todd Harris, to put into this big idea. Okay. So that's why I'm asking you, is your big idea in alignment with your B goal, or does it actually feed your B goal? Because the money from the B may feed the next B. Everybody get where I'm going with that? Okay. Now, Alan Bishop, do you have plans to exit your company? Is that one of your B goals?
Not anytime soon.
Okay. Not anytime soon. But is that something you do want to do at some point? Maybe?
Maybe in about 15, 20 years or so.
Okay. So it's on down the road. All right. Now, question number 3. By hitting this B opportunity, does it manifest the B goal, or does it feed the B goal? Okay, that would kind of be 2 and 3 together. Question number 4, does it both fascinate and motivate and reactivate the prey drive? See, when you got a big idea, there's not a lot of a margin for messing around. You don't have enough time for low value activity because the B is so big. It's like, man, I ain't got time to mess around because I got to hit my first big goal to go hit my second big goal. Okay. So does this idea, whatever this idea, fascinate and motivate you? See, Richard, I'm working on an idea for 18 to 25-year-olds. That's like a prep school. It's an alternative to going to college. You go for 2 years. There's a master's level. You learn the habits of the top 1% of performers. I've been working on this idea for 6 months. And it's like, is there a market there? Could I get initially 30 people to pay $12,000 a year in tuition? That's 360 grand. There's probably 200,000 of profit there. Is it a scalable idea? Is it a profitable idea? Is it a leverageable idea? Is it a big enough market? You see where I'm going? Okay. Now I could sit around and play with that idea over and over and over and over and over. Okay. I remember when I was working with Dr. Hotze, who's down here in the bottom corner, and he made a decision to have a pharmacy. He's a doctor, but he also has his own pharmacy where they compound the vitamins. And then he partnered with other doctors, and other doctors actually sent their prescribing vitamins, and they all became partners, and they actually sent their guests to the pharmacy because they're sending them somewhere to get the vitamins, right? If the doctor could own a piece of it, see, that's a much bigger idea than just owning one place. Does everybody see where I'm going with that? Okay, that's a big idea. All right. Now, so the question is, does the idea you're working on right now both fascinate you and motivate you? And question number 5 is, are you really committed to doing this, or are you in the dabbling phase? Because you can't dabble with a big idea and make it work. How many of y'all have dabbled with an idea and kind of halfway did it and it's halfway worked? Now, Mary Murphy's got a virtual assistant company that she does. And every time we talk, she's like, well, you know, what do you tell me, Mary? If I just focus some more time and attention on this virtual assistant business, it could be a big business, right? And then we go back to running the real estate business.
Margins are much higher on the other business too.
Which I understand, but my point is,
No, the margins are higher on the VA business, the real
Yeah,
estate business. Chris knows how hard that is to make work.
that's what I'm saying. So my point is, this is what we do though. We kind of have a glimmer of like, okay, the big opportunity's over here, but all of my time is spent right here. And I can't get to the big idea because I'm tied up over here, keeping the trains running. Okay. How many people can see that happening to them? Okay. So this is the first thing I do when I have a big idea, because people send me their ideas all day long. And the first thing I do when I have a big idea, John McAllister, is I do a comparative analysis. And I say, is there anybody else out there having a lot of success with this idea? Let's take my prep school idea. How many of you think that could be a good idea? A big idea. Prep school, 18 to 25-year-olds, alternative to universities. You go there for 2 years. How many of you would send your kids there? Okay. We're going to raise your hand, please, because you're going to be the first prospect we call. Carrie, make a note on all the prospects. Okay. Now, because we'll be at the end of this course, we'll be enrolling your children into our new prep school. Now, my point is, the first thing I do, Dominic, is I go out into the market and I literally immerse myself in research. Do you know how many documentaries I've watched on WeWork? How many times I've listened to interviews about Adam Neumann, who founded WeWork? Because WeWork is a competitor to the Greatness Factory. Does everybody see that? Okay, so I've watched every interview. I've watched the documentaries. I've read the books. I've followed, like the company was valued, initially at $47 billion, which was an overvaluation. We know, because SoftBank put $4.4 billion into that and inflated the actual valuation of the company, but it ended up being worth $9 billion when it went public. So it still worked, right, Brad Blazer? Like, people can say what they want to about it. You go out and create a company that was valued at $9 billion and go public with it, and it still worked, no matter if you liked it or didn't like it. So that's comparative analysis. I'm like, okay, what did they do that I didn't like? What did they do that we could do? See, the first thing when you got a big idea is you got to go, okay, who else is doing this? at a very high level. Okay. Who else is doing this at a very high level? Okay. So lessons learned from somebody who's done it. And do you have the psychological flexibility, which is the openness to try to get into the game without knowing if it's going to work or not? Okay. But what I find is that most people don't go deep enough to see all the angles. Okay. They don't go deep enough to see all the angles. Okay. Now, Matthew Hyde and Julie are both in the mortgage business. Yes, Julie, are y'all in Nashville? Okay.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
all right. Now, Matthew, who's making all the money in the mortgage business?
Like, is that a trick question right now?
No,
I guess
like the people that own the mortgage companies making money or losing money?
well, I think actually right now, mortgage companies are burning through
Yep.
more money than what they've ever burnt through.
Yep.
It's costing more to originate a loan.
Yep,
Can you hear me?
we can.
It's costing more to originate a loan than what it has ever cost before.
So when you think about that, you obviously need a lot of money. Okay. But in good times, how much money did those people that own the mortgage companies make?
Oh, I mean, during the heydays of the past 3 years during COVID, it
Yeah.
was money. It's just crazy money.
Yeah.
Unprecedented amount of money.
That's right. So when you think about it, if I was starting a mortgage company tomorrow, here's what I'd want to know, man. I do a deep, deep comparative analysis on the idea of what are they doing? What do I like about it? What do I not like about it? How would I start it? Who's doing it the best? Who's actually making money? Who's not making money? See, very few people will spend the time it takes to go deep on a comparative analysis of somebody who's really winning. Now, I came from the sports world, and guess what I found, Dan Gribble, is that the people who beat me were my greatest teachers. I actually learned the most from my greatest competition. Everybody see that? What are they doing that I'm not doing? Well, they're in the weight room more, and they're stronger, and they're bigger, and they're faster, and they're doing this, and they do this. It's like, see, to me, we don't do enough comparative analysis on the big idea. You should know their business model. I mean, inside and out. Okay. Now, let's get to the reasons on why you may not be focusing on your big idea. Okay. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you may not be focused on the big idea. Number 1, financial pressure of the current business is causing you to insert yourself with your skill set, meaning the current business you're operating in is the financial pressure of that business is requiring you to step into the business and insert yourself into it. So there's really no leverage because you can't be freed up to grow. Okay. How many of you would say that's a problem for a lot of people? There's nobody else to sell, so you're the one having to step in and sell. See, when I started coaching a great restaurant entrepreneur, he said, look, I can't grow these restaurants because I'm in here running the 2 restaurants I've got because I don't have anybody good enough to run the restaurant. So will you come in and develop some bench strength? I never forget him saying that. Develop some bench strength for me. And I'm going to give you 12 people. I think only 2 or 3 are going to make it, but I want you to develop these 12 people, and then I'm going to pick 2 or 3 to be my general manager. And then he went on to build another idea, another concept, of which he sold to McAllister's Deli or something like that. Now, my point is, he was so locked into running the business every day, he couldn't be freed up to go work on the big idea, which was a new concept for the business. So that's number 1. That's why we don't do it. Number 2, you become distracted by too many options and ideas. That's called monkey mind. Okay. You got too many ideas. You're like jumping around from tree to tree to tree, and you got an idea on this and an idea on this and an idea on this, idea on this, right? And you haven't developed a priority intelligence. And a priority intelligence is, this is my big idea. I need to focus on this idea, which would indicate I need to be doing something every day. Yes or no? Okay. Yeah. I need to be doing something every day. And maybe it's just keeping this idea moving. We're going to get into that physical action in just a second. But if you were coaching me, Kyle Joyner, you may say, hey, if that greatness factory is the big idea for you. What did you do today to move the ball down the field? Did you hire a salesperson to sell the auditorium? Did you rent any more offices? By the way, I did yesterday. Are you running ads for the shared space? Do you need to hire some Google experts? Like if Kyle Joyner was coaching me, he would say, stay focused on the big idea. like take it from mental creation to physical action. Everybody understand? I can't tell you how many people say, well, if I just hire this one person, I really just need. I was coaching a young lady yesterday from Belarus, and she came into the lodge. She's got a tax business that does well. And she said, I just need a salesperson, and I need this person, and I need this person. How many times do we say that until we take action on it? Until we go find somebody, until we get someone, until we take an action and interview, right? It's like, how many times do we talk about it? Okay. I'm like, you're never going to get to your B goals unless you start getting into physical action on these things. Okay. So number 2, you become distracted. And number 3, you see the big idea, but you lack something to pursue it. And I'm going to give you 4 things. Knowledge. You don't know how to go do it. 2, courage. You just don't have the toughness to go do it. 3, resources. You don't have the money to go do it. Or number 4, you don't have the relationship. You don't have the relationship. Okay. Now, when you think about these things, how many of you are caught on one of those things? I don't have the knowledge to go do it. I don't have the courage to go do it. I don't have the resources to go do it. I don't have the key relationships to go do it. And this is what keeps us from getting into physical action on the big idea. It's like, I've always wanted to do it, but man, I just can't get into action. I just cannot get into action on this because one of these things. Okay. This is why who, not how is such a powerful concept, right? I don't have the time to do it. Yep. That could be put in the resource category. I just don't have the time. I don't have the time or the energy or the. Okay. These are things that have kept me in my life from pursuing big ideas. Okay. I look at it, it's like, man, sometimes I've been caught up because I just didn't know how to do it. And I didn't go get a who. Sometimes it's like, I don't have the courage to take an action on it. I'm stuck. I'm sitting here thinking about it. Sometimes I just don't have the resources, but that's an excuse because you can find the resources. And sometimes I was missing a key relationship. Okay. Or how many of you had a key relationship, but you didn't want to invest the money to get in the game with that relationship? Anybody ever have that? It's like, I know that I need that person on the dream team, but they're very expensive. And why are they expensive, Stephen? Why are they expensive? I see you talking, but I can't hear you. There you go.
Because they're worth it.
That's right. Because they're that good. That's why they're expensive. They're that good. Okay. And what we do is we try to get the cheap version. Okay. And because you get the cheap version, you don't get the result that you're looking for. Okay. All right. Now let's get into action. And then we're going to play some pitch and catch here. What would be the action plan here? Number 1, decide if you're ready to make some kind of move on this. What if I told you, Brad Newberry, just by me talking about it, gets me closer to acting on it? Would you believe that?
I would say it's the start, but it's not really action.
Right. That's right.
It's thinking.
See, I've been wanting to buy these retreat centers around the country. And my first step is I'm going to go to Highlands, North Carolina, and I'm actually going to see A.L. Williams. He went into that city and bought about 5 hotels and resorts there. And he's got one called the Old English Inn. And I told my wife, we're going to fly there and we're going to check it out because I want to see it because I think it'll get us closer to wanting to purchase one of these. Then it's like, okay, who could help us purchase it? Okay. So to me, you got to decide if you're serious about it or you're just dabbling with it. You got to decide. I'm going in on the idea. If I got to raise capital, I'm going to raise capital. If I got to get partners, I'm going to get partners. I'm going to quit thinking and I'm going to get into movement, which is step number 2. I'm going to go from mental creation. And you'll hear Dave Blanchard talk about this on Saturday. From mental creation to physical action. Now, I was talking to Dominic the other day, and he told me he had a client that he could follow up with that was going to be a big deal. If I told you you had to go find the money tomorrow, how many of you could go find the money? How many of you have money in your pipeline right now that you could go get if you had to? Deals you could close, people you could follow up on. The truth is, physical action is taking your mental creation and taking the next step toward that, whatever that step is. Okay, so me using the example of Highlands, it's I see these retreat centers that are, and I want positive cash flow, retreat center, cool places, mountains or water. First step for me, get on the plane and fly over there and see it. Is that a physical step, Rob Challenger? That's a physical step that gets me one step closer to doing it. Then I may say, okay, break down the numbers. So then I've got somebody looking for them for me around the country. Okay, what do they need to look like? So I got to go from thinking this is a big idea to physical creation, which is taking an action toward the big idea. And then I've got to assemble the dream team. Like, who do I need to help me with this? There's my who's. There's my who's. Who do I need to help me with this? Do I need an acquisition person? Do I need a person to negotiate on our behalf? Do I need a person raising capital? Like what are the needs here to take this dream and turn it into a reality? Okay. And then the fourth step is I need to take action with a timeline and a target. I need to quit dabbling and I need to decide. This is my big idea. This is my level 10 opportunity. This is what's next. Okay. Now, how many of you have been doing something for a long time? And the truth is, if you were really honest, you're just tired of doing it. It's like, I've been doing this a long time and I've lost passion for this. And my granddad used to say, if you eat banana pudding every day for 10 years, you eventually get tired of eating it. Now, I live in Tennessee. We have some good banana pudding. But he used to say, if you eat banana pudding every day for 10 years, you eventually get tired of eating it. And I don't care what you do for a living. If you do it over a long cycle of time, it loses its luster. It loses its passion. It loses its energy. I don't care. At 31 years old, I was burned out, exhausted, and ready to retire from coaching athletics. You know why? Because I've been coaching 80 hours a week for 13 years, and I was tired, and I had done everything I could do. And I go, what's next for me? What is my next move? See, I didn't have all these formulas back then. I just go, okay, I like speaking. I like coaching. Man, I'm just going to get out there and speak and coach. I didn't have a plan. Now I think about formulas and structure and strategy and how big of an idea is it? And who do I need on the team? And how much is it going to cost? And what's my return on my energy? What's my return on the investment? In those days, man, I just said, let's just go do it. Let's just go get it. Okay. Now, there's two words I want you to remember from this, and then we'll get into the assignment and do some pitch and catch. Number one is a term called psychological flexibility. Anybody know what that word means? It means you're open to anything, closed off to nothing. You have the flexibility to think kind of like King David did in the Bible. It's going to be a fight, but we're going to find a way to win. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but I'm going into this open-minded. And if somebody else has done it, that is all the proof I need that it can be done. Okay. Number two, psychological demand. And psychological demand is when you commit and put resources in it, you psychologically commit to making it work. Okay, that's why when you make an investment in something and you put real money into it, you pay a lot more attention. So my motto is, when you pay attention. When you don't pay, you don't pay attention. Okay. Now, here's an assignment that we're going to be working on. It's going to be kind of a work in progress. I want you to begin preparing to present to this group your B goals and what bothers you about your current situation and the steps you will be taking to move toward the B. I want you to be able to tell us why these B goals are important to you in manifesting what this will do for your life. Now, Lisa Galloway, I've been home off the road for 2 or 3 weeks, which is very uncommon for me. And I'm on about a 7-day swing through Texas, back to Nashville, West Palm Beach, and then to Denver, Colorado. And I have grown to really love seeing my 1-year-old daughter wake up in the morning and just play with her in the morning, being home. Because when I'm on the road, I don't get to do that. And I have just fallen in love with being able to do that. Because I've been home. Obviously, I get to see them every day. I get to have dinner at home at night. And I thought after about 2 weeks, I was so not used to it. I'm like, this is really cool. Because most of my life has been on the road. And that makes me want to fly private so I can go speak and get home to and see my baby girl. Everybody see that? See, that's a big reason to go out and sell something in the coaching business and help a lot of people so we have enough money so I can fly over to Dallas, fly back home and see my baby girl. And when she wakes up in the morning, daddy's there. See, that's a big because goal. Now, to do that, this is why people look at money and talk about money in all kinds of ways. And I'm like, no, you need the money to be able to do that because it's expensive to do that. Okay. But it's like, why do I want to hit my goals? I want to hit my goals so I can say, yes, I can be in Dallas, Texas, but I'm going to be home tonight to see my 1-year-old daughter and play with my 3-year-old son and see my 11-year-old daughter's cheerleading practice. Everybody see where I'm going with this? See, I want you to be able to tell me why. Why is this so important to you that you hit these goals? Why is the B goal so important to you? You want to be happier? You want to be less anxious? Do you want to have more income? Like, why is this so important that you really dig in? And when you don't feel like doing it, you can muscle through it. Only when you know your because goals can you muscle through something. Okay. So at some point, pretty soon, and Carrie will give you plenty of updates, we'll be calling on members and we'll actually let you say to the group, these are my B goals. Okay. This is what I'm bothered by right now currently in my business. These are the exact steps I'm taking to get out of mental creation and into physical action. Everybody see that? Because the purpose of what's next is actually getting you to the next move. Okay. That's going to be your big assignment. So I want you to get this down to a point. If Chris Dean asked me my B goals right now, he's heard me coach so much, he could probably tell you my B goals. My B goals are my coaching business is doing a certain amount of revenue. It's operating on this profit margin. I spend 90 days out of the year at our house in Florida. I see my kids X number of days per year. Okay. Me and my wife spend 3 nights a month, just me and her connecting and reconnecting. I fly private everywhere I go so I can get back home quickly. I've got multiple greatness factories around the country. I'm starting the concept prep school for the 18 to 25-year-olds. See, look at how clear I am in these B goals. So during the day, I don't mess around, man. I ain't got time to mess around, Rob Challenger. I got too many goals I'm trying to hit. So I don't have time. I don't have margin for messing around because I got these big, and let me tell you, it's a trick too, because it reactivates the prey drive. My prey drive is reactivated because I got big goals. Okay. Now, let me give you some dates to check on, and then we're going to play some pitch and catch, and then we'll get you out of here. Obviously, I'll see some of you this week at the conference. You're really going to love that. You'll really like Blanchard. Every What's Next member, Carrie, gets access to do the Habit Finder assessment for free. That's a $300 assessment that the What's Next members get. So you need to take the assessment, and you get a complimentary session with Dave Blanchard, which created the Habit Finder, and it measures your deepest habits of thinking. He was one of my coaches, and he will be speaking at the conference on Friday morning right after me. It's really good. Okay. I mean, really good. So I want everybody to have that link, Carrie. If you have not taken it, or if you haven't done your debrief with Blanchard, I promise you it'll be worth it to do the debrief with him. He'll get deep into how you think, your habits of thought, habits that would be called at-risk habits, which are real kind of where you're in negative town, where you're healthy habits, because your unhealthy habits actually sabotage your thought processes. Okay. And that's why it's important for you to know. When I did that habit finder, Alan Bishop, you should have seen how much obligation I felt. It was off the charts. Obligated to show up, obligated to have a good attitude all the time, obligated to coach thousands of people, obligated. And until I recognized that I felt that obligation, I actually had lost a lot of joy because I had to be on all the time. You understand where I'm going? And just having an awareness of that habit of thought helped me to go, you know what? I need to get back to having fun. I need to get back to remembering why I got into coaching. I need to get back, but I didn't know it until I had the awareness of a thought that was sabotaging my thinking. You know what happens when you have a lot of obligation? Dan Gribble, you become cynical, negative, pessimistic. You start seeing the bad in people versus the good. Okay. And that habit thinker really helped me to go, you know what? I've got some habits of thought that are unhealthy. And that's the first step, is to have an awareness of that. So Blanchard will take you through that. The second thing is, you guys have access to Package Your Purpose, which is November 2nd and 3rd. It's at the Lodge. It is actually the day before, the 2 days before your What's Next in-person mastermind on the 4th. So if there's any way you can come to Package Your Purpose and really go through those 3 days with me, it'd be well worth it for you. Okay. So your What's Next mastermind is on the 4th, but the 2 days right before that, I do a workshop called Package Your Purpose, and I get deep into packaging, marketing, and monetization. Okay. And then December the 7th, I'm doing a full day workshop called Reset, which is where I'll basically help you map out your entire year. Okay. So if you guys have access to that as part of this membership, you got kind of an all access pass to things I do at the Lodge. So pick the things you can come to. Some people come to everything, and you know, Todd Harris has probably got the award for coming to most things, him and Lisa Galloway. Okay. And you know, I think they would tell you the deeper you dig in with me, the deeper you're going to go on this
Are all
journey.
of these programs in Tennessee?
These programs will be at my lodge, at my lodge outside of Nashville. Okay. Some of them we will live stream, where you can watch them there, or record parts of those, or, you know, where you can watch them from where you live. Okay. But I think people will tell you there's nothing like being there with me in person, if you can get there. Make it a good reason to come to Nashville. Okay. Okay. So Matthew and Julie, you guys can get you a second home and get you a condo in Nashville if you need to. Okay. All right. Questions? Chris Dean, you're a top thinker in this group. You got a engineering mind, and I know you got a big idea. Tell me what's keeping you from moving forward on the big idea.
Well, Coach, I knew you would call on me, so you're so predictable there. The big idea, I guess, and you know, we've gone back and forth on that, but what keeps me up at night right now is just what I told you I call what now, which keeps you from getting to what's next, because there's always a what now. Mary knows this because it's constantly, every day there's some issue, something that has to be dealt with and tweaked, and trying to get out of that. And slowly but surely has been the problem to get to where we can be gone anywhere and still do the things we need to do for the business, but also increase that passive income. So, you know, when we've talked before, we talked about the coaching and the book, and I think that's still important, but you know, we're not like sure, is this something we really want to do?
Yeah.
But I do think that there is value in the, you know, what now, how to make a profitable real estate business to get to what's next.
Yeah.
You know, what I pitched to you on, you know, using what we've learned to do that. And then I think the bigger goal, as I keep thinking about it, is the automation piece that we do, because that's something really unique to us. And I really want to package that up and get it to where it's generic and not tied so closely to how we run our business, so that we can sell that, you know, as a service or a package combo to other teams around, and maybe even be a competition for place. Mary perked up when I said that, of course.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are right now, with our A to B, I guess you could say.
Well, let's be honest. There's only a matter of time. Creative destruction. Is everybody on this call familiar with what creative destruction is? Creative destruction is where if you do not reinvent the model, somebody else, Leon, will come in and reinvent it. There's only a matter of time before there's a second place that is competing with place. And what they will do is they will look at Place's model, which is a real estate model that handles operation support for real estate teams, and they'll say we can do it better, faster, and cheaper. No different than Rio came along to EXP, and EXP came along to Keller Williams, and there will be creative destruction in every business that's on here. So you can either reinvent the model, okay, or your own model, creatively destroy your own model, or somebody else comes along and creatively destroys it.
Yeah, Coach, I called that one with Monica. I said, controlling your own destiny, or someone else will do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a big believer in never placing your destiny in somebody else's hands. You guys have heard me say that before. Okay. Never placing your destiny in somebody else's hands. Okay. So when you think about, it's okay. I want to say this to everybody. If Chris and Monica go down the path of writing a book, packaging their intellectual property, selling that intellectual property, or then they say, you know what, it's an idea to make some extra money, but it's not the big idea. The big idea is actually over here. I would tell you that maybe they have to go down that path to see it, to figure out which idea is a bigger idea. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Sometimes they go down the path of an idea to go, that's not the big idea. I uncovered this. Slack was sold for $27 billion. How many of you guys use Slack with your team? That's not the idea the guy had. The idea was the guy was trying to sell like snowmobiles or something. And he created a technology internally that they could use it with each other. And he actually figured out that was a much bigger idea than selling the snowmobiles. So he ended up selling Slack to Salesforce for $27.5 billion. That wasn't his idea. His idea was selling snowmobiles. Okay. So lots of big ideas, including YouTube, was not the original idea. You understand what I'm saying? YouTube, what they tried to do with YouTube was not what YouTube is today. Okay. So they started with idea A, and then they began to iterate the idea. And then they actually said, it's idea C, which is the big idea, which is YouTube. So I want you to be open to what the big idea is. See, I started the Greatness Factory for Kids, which is an online training school for kids, but the parents had to sit down at night and do it with their kids. Guess what I found out, Alan Bishop? Parents wouldn't sit down with their kids at night. So then I said, okay, what if we added a coach? Then I go, okay, what all the parents had to do is make sure the kids show up and we would coach the kids. Okay, good idea, big idea. Then I started going, okay, is a bigger idea prep school, 18 to 25-year-olds. See, I had to go through idea 1 and then idea 2 to get to idea number 3, which could be an idea. Now, Success School is still a big idea, but I got to find a way to get the parents and the kids involved in it. So it's really a marketing problem. Okay. Daniel, what's your takeaway from today?
My biggest takeaway for today was just being in the room with huge mastermind to listen to where everybody else is as far as their aspirations are.
Yep.
So my biggest takeaway is just to actually create that action plan. Decide on where I want to go with this, and like you said, taking that mental creation to physical action.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. See, anybody else gone through strategic coaching here other than me?
I haven't been through it, but I've been into numerous Dan Sullivan presentations. He's amazing. Through $1 Million Roundtable, he's presented there on multiple occasions. I've read his books, 21st Century Agent, a number of his Good to Greatness, a number of things he's done.
Yeah. So, he started coaching people 1-to-1 until he got to 50 people. And he would tell you he really couldn't get his idea going until he met his wife. Sullivan actually talks about the day he went he went bankrupt in the morning and got divorced in the afternoon. And he called that extreme market research. But the point is, he started coaching people and he got to 50 people, and that's all he could get to with 1-to-1 coaching. And his wife comes along, his second wife, and says, "You're too smart of a dude to do it this way. What you need to be doing is doing 40 people in a group, get them into pods, then build another pod, then eventually keep going to where you have all these pods, and then you bring in other coaches." And they took that 1-to-1 coaching business to a, $40 million business doing it that way. So he had an idea, but a bigger idea was put them into pods, have income levels, then go up. Now there's 3 levels to that business. Now, so what I'm saying is that first idea wasn't a bad idea. It just, one thing I didn't say today about your big idea is it's got to be scalable. The big idea really needs to be scalable. And it needs to be profitable, highly profitable. And it needs to be highly enjoyable. Right? So John McAllister, if you're doing the auction business, you got to step back and go, okay, what is the big idea here that's scalable, more scalable, it's more profitable? What is that idea? Is there anybody in that business has taken something to where they've scaled it up? Who would that be, John?
Well, I think of our friend Jay Cash. That's the first person I think about. And then I'm working with a business partner right now. That's exactly what we're doing. We're taking the auction business to the level of mergers, acquisitions, and divestitures of going concerns, businesses, and we've had good success with it. We just need to create a bigger B there to get into larger transactions.
Yep.
And to and to execute, and so I'm looking forward to what's next, because I need that guidance at this point in time. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm trying to get you guys to think about. Me just being a coach and a speaker is not a big idea. If all I had to do is go around the country, there's only so much money I could charge, and there's so much time and energy I got to put into it. That's not a big idea. That's why just being a speaker is not really a good business model. Now, being a speaker and generating thousands of leads, that you look at a guy like Cardone, whether you like him or not, built a huge customer base, and then he turned around and raised capital from all of his customers. All of his clients gave him the money to go buy the apartment complexes to have $1 billion, $4 billion worth of real estate. That's a big idea. So what he really figured out was, I can't build $1 billion business in speaking and coaching, but I can build $1 billion real estate business. And how do I leverage all of these customers? Oh yeah, let's go to them and let them be my best things. Let them be my investors. See, that's a big idea. See the difference there? Okay. See, my buddy Damon West is going to be speaking at my conference. He's actually speaking at this conference. And he told me he made about $2 million a year speaking. And I said, Damon, you got to be exhausted, man. I see you on Instagram. You're speaking 5 days a week in 5 different cities. He said, yes, I am. And I said, do you want to be away from your family that much? He said, no, I don't, but I'm making $2 million a year giving hour talks, 1 talk at a time. And I said, yeah, but you're in 5 different cities, 5 different hotels. Listen, it's only a matter of time before that's going to get exhausting. You need a bigger idea. You see where I'm going? And I don't know what that big idea is for you, but you need a bigger idea than just giving talks. Okay. No matter how good the talks are. That's kind of what I want you guys thinking about here from today's session. Okay. Any other questions? Leon, what's your big idea?
I don't have one yet. I'm really thinking by what everything was said about being open, and really what struck me is the Slack idea that you said, the guy that derived out of the business he was in. So being open to seeing the small opportunities, or you might think they're small opportunities that come your way that can turn into a really huge idea, and not dismiss those.
Yeah. See, we got to think, we got to begin with the end in mind. What if I go, I'm going to build 50 greatness factories and then sell it to WeWork for a couple $100 million? See what I'm saying? Now we're thinking bigger.
For
You
sure.
See where I'm going with that? See, Regis was worth $2 billion, Industrious 600 million, plus WeWork 7 to 9 billion. There's acquirers in that business if I could show this thing can work. And maybe all I need is 10 or 15 of them. And Mary may say, well, why would you? That's your big idea. Listen, I got more than one big idea. Right? For a couple $100 million, I'd be like, okay, what's my next big idea? So that's how you got to start thinking. Okay. Dominic, what's your question?
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm in my coaching gear right now. I'm about to coach 10-year-old girls softball in about 4 minutes. So, my question is it appropriate, or in my situation right now, I don't have a big idea. I'm just kind of getting going again.
Yep.
And my thing is getting to be producing, at a high level,
Yep.
And then work in the annuities and get my income up to, I don't even have that number yet, 30 grand, 40, 50 grand a month. Right. Is it okay? And I know it's my question. Is it okay for me to just be a producer and not have a massive idea? Like I was listening to your talk today. I'm like, I don't know what my big idea would be,
Hey, let me give an example. Your next big idea may be getting the annuity license.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you can do that. See, I'm coaching I told you a young guy that's making about 2 million a year in annuities and nothing but annuities. I helped him come up with an idea. He had the annuity expert, how to move millions in minutes. I helped him brand that idea. And then I went to him the other day and I said, let's take that idea national and let's figure out a way to license that. Okay. Let's figure out a way to license that to all the people. So your next big idea, going from mental creation of what you told me the other day to physical action, may be okay. You get licensed so you can do that, because right now you're leaving money on the table.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm just in kind of like a starting point, launch point to just go from where I'm at to big idea. I kind of like what you said. Is your thing now funding the big idea? I'm in that initial stages.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, my first big idea was how to win a high school girls basketball championship, guys. That was a big idea from 20 to 30. Okay. So don't get caught up in, it's got to be a multi-billion-dollar idea. Get caught up in, what is my next big idea? And how do I go from mental creation to physical action? And physical act, just by teaching you guys this today, there's probably 10 things that I need to be doing to move some of my ideas down the field. Reaching out to people, following up with people, engaging with people. There's some marketing things I need to be doing. There's things I need to do to move the idea down the field. And that's what I want you thinking is let's just not live with big ideas. Okay. Let's find our level 10 and let's start moving toward it. Okay. Now we've got a guy in this program. He's probably headed to Nashville right now, who came to me 7 years ago, and he had a heavy service-based business doing lawn care, and he was miserable, 100% miserable. And his big idea is, I want to sell this business. It took us about 7 years. We went through Warlow's concept of making the business more scalable, built out a management team, Salesforce, and this past year he sold the business, had zero debt on the business. It wasn't some gigantic exit, but it was he owns all the real estate, and now the new company's having to rent the real estate back from him. Plus he sold all the equipment, plus he sold the business. Now that was his big idea. Everybody see that? That's what he thought would make him happy. So that may be your big idea. And right now we need to start moving into physical creation, where Dominique may say, look, I got to do this, this, and this. Everybody's got their own big ideas. Okay. So that was really the purpose of today's class, is to get you thinking about that B. Okay. All right. We'll send you the replay. Carrie, make sure everybody gets the replay. Make sure everybody's thinking. And remember, Carrie will be working with you on when you're going to present to the group what your B is, what you're bothered by at A, and what are your exact steps to move toward the B. Okay, that'll make you take the assignment serious. All right, thank you guys. See you soon.
Thanks, Coach.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. Take care.